Mr. Hart tried to appease me by doing a lot of things, but the basic thing is there's $300,000 that's been diverted from that plan. No one knows where that money went. Mr. Martinson's asked for where it went, and I don't believe he has gotten an answer. The other issues are numerous, and it's just exactly what you're going to see in the pictures and so on. Charles Hart can cause a heart attack in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. No speaker? Councilman Mautino.
I'm going to read this, and what I'm about to say are my opinions that I have derived from observations, meetings, conversations, phone calls, emails, and letters I have received, and materials I have requested. The Public Works Director holds the most significant position in the city for Tulsa's economic growth. Mr. Hart controls a $200+ million budget. He and his department heads make decisions that affect GO bonds, third penny projects such as downgrade streets from 4 lanes to rehab, defer projects, determine which projects get priority status, evaluates bids, and selects contractors. The director oversees an assistant and 5 deputy directors. The assistant director heads up policy development that is made up of community affairs, field customer service, finance planning, human resources, information resources, project impact, and utilities services. 5 deputy directors. Engineering services comprised of design engineering, field engineering, and planning coordination. Second, environmental operations that is comprised of distribution systems, quality assurance, underground collections, water pollution control, and water supply systems. The third, public facilities maintenance that is comprised of building operations, street maintenance, surface drainage and vegetation management, and traffic operations. The fourth, development services that is comprised of building inspections, neighborhood inspections, permitting services, storm water control. The fifth, urban development that is comprised of workforce development, real estate, community services, planning, and economic development. Public Works Department affects the quality of life for every citizen in Tulsa. Home owners, businesses, developers, builders, and industry. It's my understanding that every department is understaffed. Most of the employees have not received cost of living increases in 4 years. The city finds itself with $3 billion of unfunded infrastructure need. The number of unfilled jobs for street, stormwater, water, and sewer department puts the city in a position of hiring outside contractors. The bid process required to hire a contractor requires as much as 6 months lead time before a project can be started. The bid process has a draconian effect on man hours and materials to implement. Challenges to the process by bidders have created distrust in the process, expanding an inordinate amount of time, man hours, and resources to have caused the council to deliberate and agonize over bidders that feel they were treated unfairly. In the 90s, a grand jury was impaneled to investigate the Lower Mingo Creek improvements. A public works project that sparked controversy ended in a grand jury recommendation. The city auditor investigates the appropriateness of the change order. The auditor's report included 4 recommendations the Public Works should incorporate. In my opinion, it is my opinion that of late, I'm sure someone loves to do that, and I really appreciate that timely pinging. It is my opinion that of late Public Works has involved in several errors that have put an unwarranted burden on citizens and contractors. A plethora of change orders that range from after the fact to some that increase the cost of the project. Some change orders extend the time of the contracts for many numbers of reasons. These time extension change orders allow contractors to receive a bonus for completing the project as if it has been completed on time specified in the original contract. Not to say this is not a customary procedure, the point is there are not enough inspectors to monitor the contractors. This brings me to a point where I have witnessed projects that did not meet city standards. As a neighborhood representative, I came before many members of this very council to bring to your attention the inferior road work on 11th Street in front of East Central High School. The surface standards for smoothness was exceeded by 60 inches. And what that I mean is that there is a standard for roughly, in a mile section, that there be roughly 6 inches in deviation. This one had 68 inches of deviation. The cast iron stormwater grates along the curbings, 2/3 of them still had wooden shims between the grate and the chimney. The inspector had approved the project. The contractor was required to mill 2 inches and resurface the street. The wood shims were replaced with brick and mortar. Another project, 138th East Avenue and 11th Street, completed 3.5 years ago, is failing. Recently, 51st Street, Garnett to 145th East Avenue, poor work had to be resurfaced. Wagon wheel project delays, poor workmanship. Bridge at 15th Street and 145th East Avenue, untimely change orders. And that contractor did pull his people off that and put them to work on his ranch in Claremore, digging ponds. Project that could have been, this very same project could have been finished a week and a half sooner had city inspectors not been spread so thin. Why is a week and a half so important? And I'll tell you, the street was closed. It was closed to all traffic. The fire station 30 is located on 145th and 11th Street. And that's just about a quarter mile to the north of this bridge. They were concerned about the response time. A convenience store on the corner was experiencing financial hardships because of the street closing. 89th East Avenue between 12th and 16th Street. The project that Mr. Connors talked about was designed 3 years before by a city engineer that was terminated because of his incompetence. His plans were used with disturbing results. Mr. Hart, or Director Hart, was asked to intervene. That resulted in a transition box being installed in the corner and the bar ditch filled up. New driveway approaches jackhammered and replaced. I do not believe the street would pass the surface level test today. Now we have 11th Street between Memorial and Garnett in work. And the first section appears to have the final top layer. And it is even with the top of the curb flanges. So that tells me that it is more than likely the last level of asphalt being poured. If this is true, that it's the final layer, I'm requesting Director Hart to visit this project. I have have again received complaints from Wagon Wheel's constituents. The contractor has pulled off this project again. At the last TMUA financial and budget meeting, which was December 21st, 2005, just a few weeks ago, Mr. Joe T. Smith, who is a CPA, partner with BKD, which is an auditing firm, presented the financial statements. With the following words, Mr. Smith said he would like to bring 3 issues to TMUA's attention, and TMUA is the Tulsa Metropolitan Utility Authority. In respect to the books and the records, the first issue is unbilled revenues. There is an estimation process performed that calculates how much revenue is confirmed but not billed at the end of the year. The City of Tulsa has used the same methodology from year to year. However, BKD believes the number could be more precise. Another item we feel needs attention is the water main extension contracts. There seems to be a slight disconnect between the accounting department and Public Works. BDK did not make any adjustments for either of these items. The third issue is that about 3 years ago there was significant staff reduction in the finance department, and as a result there are fewer people to perform more duties. The end result is a loss in internal control. And these are not my words, they're the words of the auditor, Mr. Joe T. Smith. And that took place at the TMUA meeting, and I'm reading from the minutes that was on that meeting. If you would please, I guess we're going to put on a little show of how the streets look in East Tulsa and parts of District 6 and 5. Attention to the repairs, and they don't even have the white stripes on them. Imagine going down this street some night in the rain. This vehicle ran off the road and lost control. And that's what resulted. And some of it is because of the edge of the road. And you can see the drop off on the edge and no white lines on it. And this was repaired 6 months previously, or roughly 6 months, anywhere from, 4 to 6 months. This road has a traffic count that exceeds 10,000 cars a day. In fact, this is the road that goes north from 71st Street, which is in Broken Arrow, to the Eastland Mall. The police cruiser, you can see in the background, is trying to get it towed off. Pay particular attention to this caution sign and the bridge that's there, or the culvert that they... And it's right on the edge of the road. This is heading north from 41st to 31st on 145th. This is the condition of the pavement. Pay particular attention to this culvert here on the right. This is a street, 12th Street. There's residents on both sides. And this street runs from 157th East Avenue to 161st. This is 161st. You're heading towards 11th Street. This is a culvert. It doesn't look particularly offensive right now, but there is a big drop-off in there. But when you get on the other side and look back at it, look how they put the stripe in. This is 161st East Avenue north of 11th Street. This is the bar ditches on the side. I've had it repaired a couple of times. There's been several cars, when they go off the road here, they go on their side, and it takes quite a bit. There's been several people that have gone off the edge of the road. Not a nice road to be driving in it in a rainy night. This is a 2001 deferred third penny. District 6 has $10 million in deferred infrastructure projects, streets. And these streets don't get in these conditions in 18 months. You're approaching 11th Street, heading south. What you're looking at is 31st Street. This was a 1996 bond project. The street was supposed to be widened. 5 years ago, the engineering was complete on it. This street tapers from a 5-lane to a 2-lane to a 3-lane, and then goes to a 2-lane again, and then back up to a 5-lane. They came back in and dug the bar ditches on the side. That kind of tells you that they plan on leaving it this way for a while. There's roughly 20,000 cars a day that travel this street on a corner of Garnett and 31st. This is you're looking at Fire Station 27 with the highest cycle rate. You have a children's nursery here that people try to bring their children in here in the morning and pick them up at night. Creates traffic jams. How are you going to mow these ditches so this coming summer there'll be weeds in there? And this is I-44, and what you see ahead is you're going underneath Admiral Place. You have gone over 129th East Avenue, and this field here is where we had been trying to get Bass Pro for the last 5 or 6 years. The mayor wanted it downtown, and it ended up in Broken Arrow. This is where we're trying to get sewer in here so we can get some development. Sooner Investments and SRO are trying to build a shopping center in here. What you're looking at is 4th Street and 33rd East Avenue, which is Roma land. And the residents have been ticketed and said, if you don't clean up and mow the bar ditches in here, we will have the city do it, and you'll have to pay for it. Would you like to drive past that every day? We're looking at, right now you're looking at 11th Street at the 38th East Avenue, where they put in a new bridge about 3.5 years ago. And you can tell very plainly that the base, you've lost the base under this street. And I went to the asphalt testing laboratories, and they told me that it takes a year. What you're looking at is a failure of the base. It takes a year for the crack to progress an inch through the asphalt that's laid. So however thick the asphalt is, how long it takes to show up on top. And what the taxpayers are going to have to take care of this. This is in front of East Central High School, that little failure there. But this is 119th East Avenue, just west of the high school, that the base is failing. You can see the cracks in it. This was all done within 3.5 to 4 years ago. And when it's redone, the citizens are going to have to pay for this or drive over broke up streets. This is the new street, driving, just finished. And most of this motion that you see is I'm trying to brace the camera on the car. This is the street that Mr. Connors was talked about, 89th East Avenue. Please look at this. This is where the sidewalk was supposed to be. This leads to Lindbergh School, where the sidewalk was for the children to walk on. And believe me, what you see in movement in there is what the car is moving. So, I'm going to leave that to you to pass judgment on what you think is going on in this city. Would you please put on the slide? This is the grand jury report. I'm going to tie it in with this because it does have a change order involved in it, and that's one of the things that we have on the agenda is change orders. And this happened back in '94, and it resulted in a grand jury investigation. And our auditing department did this investigation. Would you, next slide, please. What you have here is the grand jury recommended that the city auditor investigate the appropriateness of a change order. And this is what they determined that they would do on this. They determine if the change order was officially approved, review compliance with the regulations relevant to the change order identified by internal auditing as follows: review calculations of the change order dollar amount. The next page, please. These are the recommendations that were given to Public Works from the auditor. Public Works should recover overpayment from the contractor. Public Works should improve documentation procedures. Construction files should include information to identify applicable legal regulations and document compliance. Title 11A, the city drainage standards should be updated and revised to provide better guidance to employees and individuals on how to comply with the provision. Public Works should consider determining if in lieu of fees have been collected at a rate other than allowed by the city drainage. I'm not going to go into the full audit because it is a book about 1.5 inches thick or 1 inch thick, and I will tell you that there was efforts made to correct all of these. When the auditor, Mr. Woods, made a entry into this, he said he called it special project considerations. It starts out with, the Public Works Director requested internal auditing to obtain all information for this project through his office. He requested internal auditing to not contact Public Works employees directly. It goes on to say in the next paragraph, Section 2202 of the Standards for Professional Practice of Internal Auditing states internal auditing departments should have employees or use consultants who are qualified in such disciplines as accounting, economics, finance, statistics, electronic data processing, engineering, taxation, and law as needed to meet audit responsibilities. Several issues relevant to this special projects required knowledge of engineering and law. Internal auditing has relied on engineering expertise from the Public Works employees and the legal expertise of the city attorney for a resolution of these items. Next page, please. That is entitled page 8. And the reason they wanted to do a change order examination was almost a year passed between the time the work for the change order began and the approval of the change order. And these were special project results. Next slide, please. It should say response from management. Oh, there it is. Leave it right there. The next one, please. And I won't read all of the responses, but this one says, pertaining to the independent counsel investigation that was asked for, and I'll show you that page in a minute. The Public Works Director stated that no request was made, to my knowledge, for any independent evaluation. Would you go to the next slide? And this section was the grand jury final report. It was dated on December 9, 1993. And the next slide, please, item 6 on page 3, it says, we recommended that the City of Tulsa initiate an internal control function that will ensure the city ordinances are being followed and complied with by Public Works Department. The grand jury feels strongly that for an operational audit function to be efficient in reviewing the functions of the Public Works, such audit function should be independent of the department. Next slide, please. We recommend that the City of Tulsa adopt procedures to ensure that the approval of contract change orders by the City Council after the work has been completed become the exception rather than the rule. So I did incorporate the minutes of the council meeting. When they passed it, it was not unanimous. There was 2 councilors that dissented on this, accepting this report. I have written a summary which I would like to read. If I haven't wore you out, just if you'll bear with me, I think we can get to the Councilor Baker to the Coney tonight. This is one of a series of presentations that are designed to inform citizens of District 6 and the entire city so that the voters of the city of Tulsa can make better informed decisions. The public department head is one of the most powerful positions in the city of Tulsa. Some say the existing department head, Mr. Hart, is even more powerful than the mayor. And his recent actions certainly support those beliefs. A department head that has as much influence as Mr. Hart a bureaucrat who has since the 1980s has survived many mayoral administrations, seen 7, almost 8 different city councils come and go, needs to be accountable for the operations of his department. Mr. Hart is the common denominator that influences water, sewer, trash, and storm sewer utility rates we all pay. He is the common denominator on whether all infrastructure needs are placed, whether it is water lines, sewer lines, stormwater retention areas, neighborhood creek improvements, or street and intersections. It is Mr. Hart's control. Under his watch, Tulsa has lost population in part due to the $3 billion unfunded infrastructure need, inadequate streets, and maintenance contributes to accidents which rise the insurance rates each one of us pay. And each year, Tulsa falls further behind. Understaffed divisions can no longer operate efficiently without errors. Public Works is a department which is in desperate need for an independent auditing firm to perform a professional independent audit, then can recommend changes and improve efficiency. On a $2 million annual budget, a 1% savings is equal to $2 million saving. It has been decades since the independent audit has been done on Public Works, and we owe it to the citizens of Tulsa to ensure their money is being spent in the best possible way. The next presentation will be presented at the Tulsa Urban and Economic Development Committee meeting on Tuesday, January 17th at 10 a.m., or you can watch it on TGOV Channel 24 live. Thank you for your patience.
Council discussion?